I'm Jennifer, and today I'm going to show you how to make some wonderful, super easy, super delicious focaccia bread. Before we get started making our bread, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. We are going to get started putting this focaccia bread together. You won't believe how easy this is. I have my water and it's at 110 degrees, and I have my little packet of dry active yeast. This recipe, I'll have all of it listed below, but it's super simple. I'm so excited to show you just how easy it is. And you can either use a teaspoon or tablespoon of honey or a tablespoon of sugar. I'm going to use a tablespoon of honey. The yeast needs something to eat. The yeast needs to cling onto something and start activating with that nice sweetness in this water. So I'm going to stir this together really well with just a big spatula and get all of this mixed up. If your water's too hot, that will kill the yeast, and if it's too cold, it won't let the yeast activate properly. So we're going to have it at 110 degrees, and then we're going to set this aside and let this get nice and foamy before we proceed. We'll let this sit for 5 minutes. While we're waiting on our yeast mixture to get foamy, let's go ahead and start sifting our flour. We're going to need 5 cups of all-purpose flour, and I just put them through this little mesh strainer here. It works really well and is really quick. Just pour it in and just tap it on the side. It'll make the flour so nice and fluffy and take out any lumps. We're also going to need to add in a tablespoon of salt. And at this time, it's the best time to add in any kind of seasonings or herbs or anything you want to add. I have about a teaspoon of garlic powder and about a teaspoon of oregano. These are the 2 things I really like to use. Now just take a great big whisk and whisk all these things together to make sure you have your salt, your flour, and whatever herbs or seasonings you want to use. And you don't have to add any extra to this. You can just make a nice, big, beautiful, plain focaccia bread. I guarantee it'll be wonderful just as it is without anything extra added to it. It has been 5 minutes. Now the yeast is all foamy, and we're going to take our flour mixture and pour it right in. Pour the whole thing in the great big bowl, and then just take a big spatula and start mixing it all together. Once you get your dough all mixed up and into some shape of a ball, go ahead and take a bowl with about 4 tablespoons or a 1/4 cup of olive oil. And we're just going to take this bowl and put our big ball of dough right in it, and we're going to toss it to completely coat it in the olive oil. Once the dough is coated in the olive oil, I'm just going to completely cover it with a clean towel and put it in a warm, dry place. It has been 2 hours. Let's uncover our dough and see how it looks. And so now what we're going to do is, with a good clean hands, we're going to put a little bit of oil on our hands, and we're going to start just going underneath the dough. We're going to lift it up and just pull it forward. Just kind of lift the whole thing, pull it and fold it over itself. Then we're going to turn the bowl 1 turn, and we're going to do the same thing again. Lift it up and pull it forward over itself. And we're going to do this 4 times, every direction. Now we're going to take a big baking tray, and I'm going to just drizzle this with a lot of olive oil. We're going to put down a lot of olive oil while we're making this bread recipe. I'm just going to take a little silicone brush and just brush this olive oil all over the whole entire pan. We want to make sure we cover the whole entire thing. Now that we have our big tray oiled, we're just going to take our dough and we're going to lay it down and just start pulling it out toward the edges. Now we'll just set this off to the side to let it rise for 2 more hours, and we'll go back about every 30 minutes and stretch it a little bit more toward the corners of the pan. We are going to preheat our oven to 450. We have about 40 minutes left until our dough is at the 2-hour mark. We want our oven to be nice and hot. Our bread is almost done rising, and I have some little toppings here that I'm going to get ready to put on top of our bread. I just have some little olives that I've sliced and some little grape tomatoes. I'm going to toss these in olive oil because we want to make sure these are nicely coated. If we put them on and they don't have any olive oil on, they could likely burn or dry out on top of our bread while it's baking. So I'll just put a little olive oil in the bowl and stir these up and have them ready to go when our bread is ready. Our oven is preheated and nice and hot. Our focaccia bread has been sitting now for 2 hours. I stopped once or twice and worked on it a little bit, pulling it closer to the edges. So we have all of our corners in place and it's all ready to go. I have clean hands and I'm just going to take some olive oil and put on my hands, and I'm also going to pour some olive oil right across our focaccia bread. We can never have enough olive oil when making this recipe. Now I'm just going to take my hands covered in olive oil and I'm just going to push some nice little dimples right down in the bread. Okay, now that we have that done, I'm going to go ahead and start taking our little pieces that we cut out, all of our little garnishes, and I'm going to start putting them in place. I'm going to start building a Christmas tree since this is going to be a Christmas bread. These sliced olives will look like nice little ornaments going down as our Christmas tree. You can put any type of design on your focaccia bread that you like. And there we have it, a nice design of a Christmas tree on our Christmas focaccia bread. One more thing to do before taking this beautiful bread to the oven. I'm just going to sprinkle on some flake salt right on top so that it has an extra little bit of flavor right on top of the bread. And now off we go to the oven. The focaccia bread is out of the oven and it smells absolutely amazing. After the focaccia bread came out of the oven, I let it sit on the tray for 5 minutes. Now I'll put it onto a cooling rack. We don't want the bread to continue to steam. We want it to be nice and crispy on the outside, the top and the bottom, and the edges. We'll let the focaccia bread cool completely on the cooling rack, and then once it does, we'll put it on a cutting board and cut it. We'll store it in an airtight container for up to 3 to 4 days. This bread is so light and fluffy and absolutely delicious. I'm so happy you're here, and I also hope that you realize just how easy this focaccia bread is to make. It's not difficult at all. Just follow these super easy, super simple steps and you'll have a wonderful, beautiful focaccia bread. I'm so glad you're here. I appreciate it so much, and I would be really glad if you hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Merry Christmas!